right now on 5 on Your Side at 10.
An off-duty officer assaulted in South County.
I immediately just went into a state of shock.
3 men charged sit behind bars. Tonight, community advocates weigh in on the attack.
And October chill is on the way. I'll tell you which morning we're going to see some frost.
Our top story, a deadly shooting just steps from a college campus.
We just have to do better.
The violence in Midtown raising concerns tonight. First tonight, we have some breaking news. On the left side of your screen is a live look at I-44 in Eureka, which is just now clearing after a deadly crash shut down the westbound lanes for hours near Six Flags. On your right is video from just a couple hours ago showing the backup it caused. Police tell us a driver was going down the wrong way, causing a crash between a pickup truck, a tractor trailer, and a car. Officers say one person is dead. We're working to learn more about the crash. We'll keep you updated on air, online, and on the 5+ streaming app. Back to our top story tonight. St. Louis police are investigating after a man was shot and killed in Midtown. Good evening. I'm Laura Barcheski. Mike Bush has the night off. The shooting happened early this morning near Harris-Stowe University and the Wells Fargo headquarters. New tonight, Annie Krall spoke with a student and gun violence prevention advocates about how this shooting fits into the bigger picture of violence in the city.
Around 3 a.m. on Sunday, St. Louis Metro police officers responded to a shooting at Laclede and Ewing Avenues by Harris-Stowe University, where Michael Gladden is a sophomore.
It's a small little school where you can make all your networking and connections.
She's studying to become a homicide detective. Gladden didn't get any notifications about the shooting from her university, but heard from a family member.
For one, it's crazy. There's things that shouldn't be happening at our age.
Founder of Breaking Generational Poverty, Precious Jones, visited that intersection 14 hours later with Gladden.
It's really heartbreaking because it takes me back to the phone call that I received about my 20-year-old son being pronounced around 3 a.m. from gunshots, from homicide.
When St. Louis police officers arrived on Laclede Avenue, they found a man in his 20s shot multiple times, which is why the local chapter of Moms Demand Action are spending the next few weeks focusing on young men and providing them with prevention resources. Sharon Williams with Moms Demand Action lost her son in 2008, shot and killed in the Mark Twain neighborhood.
I fear for our young people in our city who have to travel from work or, to school during the daytime or during the evening.
The man on Sunday was taken to a nearby hospital, later pronounced dead. The city releasing data tracking 106 homicides from January 1st to August 31st, down 23% compared to last year. The mayor's office saying Sunday, Mayor Tashara Jones's administration is using every tool in our toolbox to continue to reduce violence in our region, which has fallen each year of her administration. But Jones says it's still shocking near the Wells Fargo and Harris-Stowe campuses.
These people are working and the others are getting education, so you wouldn't expect that. I wouldn't expect them to come here.
In Midtown, Annie Krall, 5 on Your Side.
We reached out to Harris-Stowe University for comment, but have not heard back. Tonight, we're following more gun violence in the city. 3 people were taken to the hospital after an overnight shooting in North St. Louis. It happened near Bernie's Place Bar at 9th and Tyler. Police say a large group was gathered when someone started shooting. One woman suffered critical injuries. Another woman and man are also being treated for gunshot wounds. On Hamilton Avenue in North St. Louis, police say a 38-year-old man was shot and killed while in a car yesterday afternoon. Witnesses told officers they saw a man running away from the car. If you have any information on either shootings, please call police or leave an anonymous tip to Crime Stoppers at 866-371-TIPS. Just hours ago, a North County community came out to remember a woman who was shot and killed last week. They held a balloon release for 23-year-old Maisie Hughes. They also called for an end to gun violence. Police say 18-year-old DeMonte Williams turned himself in after shooting her after she threw food at Williams. He's charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. A live look at downtown St. Louis, and after a toasty weekend, now it's starting to finally feel more like fall. Weather Impact meteorologist Jim Castillo joins us now to tell us what these cooler temperatures could bring.
Yeah, you can really feel it out there now. That high on Saturday, 88, 1 degree away from a record high. Today, 79, and then the cold front came through this morning. And finally, that cooler, drier air is working its way in here. It's a gradual thing as we get into the overnight hours. So we're in the 50s in most areas right now, and that wind is still up. That helps the temperatures stay up. It mixes the air, and we're mostly clear tonight, and the wind's still over 10 miles an hour, possibly some gusts over 20 even after midnight. So overnight lows tonight in the 40s. We're not looking for any frost, but as we head into Wednesday, so of course it's the morning hours, a widespread frost is looking more likely, and maybe a light freeze in portions of the area outside of the metro. So cover sensitive plants. I'll talk much more about this coming up in Maine weather in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Jim. Tonight, several organizations are condemning the assault of a black off-duty police officer in South St. Louis County. 3 men are now charged. 5 on your side's Justina Cornell has reaction from several groups calling the attack violent and racially motivated.
I immediately just went into a state of shock.
Shocked to hear a black off-duty St. Louis County police officer was assaulted. Sergeant Stan Dooley with the Ethical Society of Police knows the man who was hurt.
He's I believe a 6 or 7 year veteran of the department. He's doing okay. He's recovering. He's doing the best he can, after going through such a traumatic situation.
On September 26, around 10:40 that night at the intersection of South Lindbergh and Lemay Ferry Road, an off-duty officer drove by a road construction crew. Court documents say Matthew Devlin, Garrett Gibbs, and Donnie Hurley II started shouting racial slurs at the plain-clothed officer and began beating him and hitting him with a hard hat. It continued on by saying the off-duty officer was held in a headlock and was interrupted by the arrival of officers. The NAACP St. Louis County chapter, the Ethical Society of Police, and the National Association of Black Law Enforcement Officers all sent a letter demanding change and want action.
Simply because it appears to be racially motivated, just because of the racial epithets that they used.
Delvin, Gibbs, and Hurley are charged with assault first-degree, armed criminal action, and kidnapping. Just like Dooley, NAACP St. Louis County chapter president believes more should be done.
We're concerned about making sure it's not overlooked of the seriousness of this matter, and that it reaches the level of a hate crime because of hate speech.
It just shows that we have a long way to go, and we still need to hold a lot of people accountable when it comes to this situation.
Justina Cornell, 5 on your side.
The 3 men charged are back in court Tuesday for a bond reduction hearing. St. Louis County Police are asking for more details or witnesses to come forward. Anyone with information can call detectives at 636-529-8210. Developing tonight, a North City restaurant is recovering after being vandalized early this morning. Beyond Sweet shared this surveillance video with us of who they believe broke 4 of the restaurant's windows. The owner says this is the 3rd time in as many months they've been vandalized. Family, friends, and neighbors and neighboring businesses showed up today to help clean up. A 23-year-old man is now charged, accused of stealing and crashing a police car. Police first arrested Ruben Osegura yesterday for a different carjacking. Officers say he then escaped his handcuffs and sped off in their SUV. He later crashed into a tree, near Osage in Illinois. Tonight, we're learning more about a Florissant man who was killed in a hit-and-run crash. Ricky Alsept was walking his dog along Waterford Drive yesterday morning. The Navy veteran and his dog died. Police are still looking for the driver. Neighbors say Alsept was friendly to everyone and would pick up trash on his walks. A GoFundMe for his family has already raised more than $2,000. In just 2 days, demolition of Chesterfield Mall will begin. The mall is set to be demolished Tuesday and kickstart a redevelopment project. The $2 billion project has been in the works for more than 7 years. Officials say the demolition should take about 6 months. In just a few hours, it is last call at a popular downtown bar. Start Bar will close tonight at 1 a.m. The bar's owner announced last week they're closing to focus more on the other 2 bars they own, Wheelhouse and the Midwestern. And some sad news tonight. A 5 on your side legend, Ray Hoffstetter, passed away earlier this morning. Hoffstetter first started with KSDK in 1948, a year after the station went on the air. He started as a sound man and worked his way up to photojournalist. His shooting assignments took him to the battleship Missouri on Pearl Harbor's 50th anniversary and to the Middle East during Operation Desert Shield in the Gulf War. His video of Lou Brock's record-setting stolen base is still used in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Hoffstetter was a part of the first class inducted into KSDK's Hall of Fame. Ray Hoffstetter was 98 years old.
2 disasters in less than 2 weeks.
That's the part that hurts the most.
President Biden surveys Milton's damage as Florida begins to recover. Plus, a Missouri woman trapped thousands of feet underground.
We're so thankful for the first responders.
Tonight, she shares her harrowing tale of survival.
This week, below average temperatures are in the forecast, when frost is likely, and even some areas a light freeze.
Tonight, a man is walking free after being arrested with multiple guns outside a rally for former President Donald Trump. Vem Miller was arrested yesterday at a checkpoint outside a rally at Coachella. Deputies say they found a loaded handgun and a shotgun in his SUV. Miller was released on bail after posting $5,000. Investigators say he appears to be a member of an anti-government group. Federal authorities are not considering this a third assassination attempt on the former president, since Miller was nowhere near Mr. Trump at the time. President Biden announced the country is sending new missile defense systems and American soldiers to operate them to Israel. U.S. officials say it's to aid in the country's defense against Iran. This comes after more than a dozen people were killed in an Israeli airstrike on a Gaza refugee camp, and 4 Red Cross volunteers were injured in an airstrike in Lebanon. Israel is now warning northern Gaza residents to evacuate the area. Tonight, a Missouri woman rescued after being trapped underground in a Colorado mine shaft is sharing her story. Rhonda Pulse visited the Molly Kathleen mine last week while on vacation. Police say an equipment malfunction in the tourist attraction left 1 man dead and 24 people trapped. Pulse says she and 11 others were stuck in the mine's elevator for 8 hours, 1,000 feet underground.
We got hungry, kind of cold, but it was uncomfortable, but we were never panicked or afraid. At least no one ever visibly said, are we ever getting out of here? Can we get out of here? That kind of thing.
Right now, OSHA is investigating what caused the incident. 4 other tourists were taken to the hospital with minor injuries. President Joe Biden was in Florida today assessing the damage left behind by Hurricane Milton. Just over a week ago, the president was in Florida surveying the damage caused by Hurricane Helene. Today, he announced more than $600 million in aid to support those hit the hardest. It comes as leaders urge Congress to pass additional funding to disaster relief.
And it's in moments like this we come together to take care of each other, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans. Americans who need help. And Americans who will help you if you were in the same situation. We are one United States.
More than 800,000 people are still without power after Hurricane Milton. It was a bit of a toasty weekend at times, but the evenings are starting to feel a lot more like fall. Meteorologist Jim Castillo joins us now with the weather impact forecast. Jim?
Yeah, how about 40s tonight?
Wow,
Doesn't that
40s.
sound nice? Grab
your jacket.
Yep, for tomorrow morning, jacket weather, an extra blanket tonight, and then it gets even colder as we head into, really by Wednesday morning, widespread frost expected. The arch looks fantastic tonight. It is clear to partly cloudy. A few clouds kind of back behind a couple of fronts that move through here. So that cooler, drier air is coming in. High pressure approaching Omaha is bringing in that chilly air. In fact, these are actual frost advisories, and this color here, and then in that bluish area, that is a freeze warning. So we'll see if that kind of dives a little bit further south and east as we head into Wednesday. But our wind is staying up. That mixes up the air, but you can see that cooler air coming right out of Canada and then pushing in our direction. So again, that high today, 79, and we're at 58 now. Humidity at 39%. And that dew point way down there, dry air, your lips will get chapped with a dew point of 33. And that wind today was over 30 miles an hour. Now we're seeing it 10, 12 miles an hour, maybe a gust of 16. So after that wind really dies down later tonight, we're going to see those lows drop into the low 40s outside of St. Louis. It's mostly clear, but wanted to show you this. Wednesday morning, we're talking some low to mid 30s, even near the metro, maybe not around St. Louis. In fact, probably a little bit in the way of some frost close to the city, but more so outside of the city. Look at these numbers. So we're finally going to get some really chilly air in here, and likely a weather impact alert day probably for the first part of Wednesday. So early morning hours, just watching the frost and the freeze potential outside of St. Louis. Cover those sensitive plants or bring them in if you can. And by the way, tomorrow is going to be really chilly at about 62, and the average high for this time of year is 71. All right. So temperatures as we get into Tuesday, look at that number, 59. There's also a chilly breeze, so that wind stays up. But we'll watch Wednesday morning again, maybe 38 in St. Louis, but then right outside of the city, low and mid 30s, and then we start a warm up. I think Thursday morning we might actually have some more frost in areas, and then we're back in the low 70s as we get toward the weekend.
So we can break out some sweaters this week, maybe?
Sweater weather,
okay,
yeah, which is great.
And we have to cover the plants. That was Wednesday, right?
Yes, Wednesday and possibly Thursday.
All right, thanks, Jim.
Yeah.
Charging it this holiday shopping season could impact your credit score. Consumer Reports shows us what's behind every swipe. The holiday shopping season is just around the corner, and there's no doubt when checking out, the cashier will ask if you would like to open a store credit card. Tonight, Consumer Reports shows us why you should think twice before you sign the dotted line. Here's Mike Bush.
We've all been there. Before you swipe your credit card to pay, you're told you can save even more, sometimes up to 20% off your purchase if you open a store-branded credit card right now. Should you take the plunge?
Generally, this is not a good idea. Sure, those upfront savings can be very enticing, but if you don't pay off that balance before a promotional period ends, you'll pay a lot of interest.
While the average credit card has an interest rate of around 20%, the interest rate for retail or co-branded credit cards is at an all-time high at 30%, and some are even higher. Credit cards from TJX, JCPenney, QVC, and Walgreens are almost 35%. Burlington, Big Lots, and Michaels are almost 36%. And we know that around half of Americans carry a balance month over month. Along with paying more money, that can impact your credit score. So is it ever a good time to consider signing up for a store credit card?
If you shop at that store a lot and you're vigilant about paying off your balance every month or before a promotion ends.
Just be aware that many store-branded cards have low credit limits, so a big day of shopping for holiday gifts could max out the card. For Consumer Reports, Mike Bush, 5 on your side.
Store-branded credit cards are sometimes easier to get than conventional credit cards. They can be a good option to help build credit history if you commit to keeping a low balance. The latest test launch shooting for the stars by coming back to Earth, the rocket landing sparking amazement. SpaceX launched its 5th test flight of its Starship rocket today. However, it's the landing that's catching people's attention. The company was able to use what it calls chopstick arms to grab the booster after it detaches from the rocket. The company says this is critical in its goal to make the rocket fully reusable. A new item is hitting the shelves for when you let the dogs out. Crocs announced it's releasing pet Crocs on October 23rd. The company partnered with pet supply company Bark to make the dog-sized shoes. It's all a part of their annual Croctober campaign. A matching pair for humans will be available on the same day. Now stay right there. Another 30 minutes of news and weather is next, followed by Sports Plus and The Record.
This is 5 on your side at 10. Focused on you.
We are now 23 days away from Election Day, and the race for the White House is heating up and tightening up. A new NBC News poll finds former President Donald Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris are in a dead heat nationwide. Harris had a 5-point lead a month ago. Mr. Trump leads on issues like the economy and immigration. Today in Arizona, he picked up a big endorsement from the National Border Patrol Council. He also promised to hire 10,000 new Border Patrol agents and asked Congress to give all agents a 10% raise. Vice President Kamala Harris spent her Sunday in the key battleground state of North Carolina. She rallied thousands of voters at East Carolina University. This weekend, she helped pack relief supplies for victims of Hurricane Helene. This week on The Record, a local lawmaker is sounding the alarm, in part due to our reporting on how the St. Louis Development Corporation awarded grants to North City businesses. Representative Steve Butts sits down with political editor Mark Maxwell to discuss his call for a state audit of the SLDC.
Can you make the argument that having cops on the beat, as it were, these auditors coming in, can alter behavior?
During the distribution, I certainly hope so, and I think it has already proven to be so. So Neil Richardson has said, there's a pause. We're going to double check, triple check these grants, for example, in this one program that we're talking about here. But sure, I think that's the whole point of having the audit.
You use the word pause, and to some people's ears at City Hall, that's a painful word these days because time is ticking. There's a short runway to get these federal funds out the door and into neighborhoods. Do you have any concern that bringing an auditor in at this stage could further delay the delivery of these funds?
No, because I want that money to be properly spent. I can't imagine it being spent in an irresponsible manner, not being used where it's most needed. I'm sure I know the clock's ticking, but holy cow, I mean, this clock's been ticking for a couple of years. There's no surprise here. So how we can be getting into the 11th hour kind of surprises me on the first hand, but there is time to get it done right. And I think it's important to the taxpayers and the people of North St. Louis to make sure it is done properly.
What is your current understanding of the vetting process that existed or did not properly exist as the funds were being awarded in the first round?
Yeah, my current understanding, again, I have no inside baseball info here, but there was a third-party vendor, and I believe the name was Grow USA, that was awarded a contract by SLDC to help them implement these grants. I think this is a grant program that SLDC was not set up for. This is a huge amount of money. It's never happened before. It should be transformational money. And clearly one of the issues was this vendor, Grow USA, improperly doing their work.
I don't know that a vendor like that could have necessarily been in a position to do that had it always stayed within government, had government been the one doing the vetting. And outsourcing it, they kind of outsourced the accountability factor too.
I had emailed Neil Richardson. He answered back, and I just mentioned that as one of my points from a personal level. When you lead an organization, to deflect blame because of a third-party vendor that you hired, I think that rings shallow in most people's ears.
Do you agree, and do you buy at face value the claim that Neil Richardson and Mayor Tashara Jones are making before the business community just last week, that the legal and the compliance metrics of this grant program are unaffected?
I was at that luncheon where the speeches were given by both the mayor and Neil Richardson, and I would say that rang hollow to me. I did not think that to be true. I think it is going to be affected.
A little straight talk here. You're from South City.
I am, my whole life.
This program is solely intended for North City.
Yeah.
Are there regional politics at play here?
Possibly, but I would say...
What's your interest in North City?
I'm a member of the legislature. I'm a lifelong St. Louisan. I don't consider myself a South St. Louisan. I consider myself a St. Louisan. Anything that improves the life, health, wealth, well-being in North St. Louis benefits all of us in the city.
So you want the funds to be spent there?
I do. If you look around St. Louis, where is the greatest need? Clearly it's there. Are there parts, even in my district, like Dutchtown, for example, or Bevo? Sure, we've got challenges too, but for this program and this amount of money, there will be money spent all over the city. But this was a stimulus grant program specific for small businesses in North St. Louis.
You can see more of this interview and this week's other top political stories in the bi-state coming up in about 50 minutes on The Record right after Sports Plus. It's not every day you can walk across the Mississippi River, the once rare event making waves for the third year in a row.
Yeah, and it's still dry here and no really big chance for rain. But the temperatures are in the 50s now, going down in the 40s tonight. I'll let you know when that frost is likely coming up.
It was called a once-in-a-lifetime event back in 2022, but for the third year in a row, you can walk across the Mississippi River on a land bridge to Tower Rock. The rock formation sits in the middle of the mighty Mississippi in Perry County, about 100 miles downriver from St. Louis. Forecasters expect low river levels there for at least the next 2 weeks. Well, it's shaping up to be a cooler week ahead. Meteorologist Jim Castillo joins us now with the Weather Impact Forecast. Jim?
Finally, right?
Right.
Finally.
We can break out those sweaters. We're ready to go.
And the hoodies, the jackets. So you'll need them tomorrow morning. Right now you're starting to feel that cooler, drier air come into play here. And here's down Market Street. It's 11 p.m. Who's still watching? A lot of people going to bed, I'm sure. So high pressure coming right out of Canada. Now low pressure is right around the Great Lakes, and there's some rain up there. But this area of high pressure, well, we'll watch that. Zooming in a little bit, you can see the frost advisories through Omaha, even a freeze warning in the darker blue. Some of that might actually head our way as we get into Wednesday. But that cooler air, there it is. So the yellow went way to the south of us today through Memphis. And the green area is that cooler air. Blue is even cooler than that. And we're going to see that as we head into the next several days. In fact, highs tomorrow below average. We haven't been below average in a while. So 55 degrees for the current temperature. Humidity way low at 45%. It was dry all day and very low relative humidity. So the high today, 79, and the low is the current reading. So it was 61 this morning, but we're at 55 right before midnight tonight. So the wind speeds and gusts, they're starting to die down. We had some gusts over 30 miles an hour, now seeing some over 10. But as we get into the overnight hours, not expecting the wind to get totally calm, but we're expecting 40s for lows. And it's mostly clear, and after midnight tonight, that wind dies down further. But it's Wednesday morning. Look at these temperatures, even around the metro, where we could drop to 32 in some areas outside of St. Louis, Washington, Missouri, for example, maybe St. Charles, O'Fallon, Illinois. We'll watch that. Otherwise, even in the city in the upper 30s, as we get into the other parts of the area, it's just going to be a frosty morning, likely, so widespread frost, and we'll likely have a weather impact alert day issued tomorrow for Wednesday morning. So cover up the sensitive plants, and if you can take them inside, do that for a couple of days. I even have some beautiful flowers myself. I think they're going to be fine in the city, but outside of the city, you might want to cover them up. 62 for that high temperature on Monday, and there it is tomorrow. We'll call it partly sunny and low 60s. That average high for this time of year is actually in the low 70s. So we'll get back there by Friday. Otherwise, watching Wednesday morning and Thursday morning, areas of frost. Coldest looks like Wednesday. The wind does stay up from time to time, even picks back up Thursday and a Friday, but low 70s this weekend.
I'm Paul Cook, your traffic guy from Today in St. Louis, and we're on the move. A major exit ramp connecting Interstate 70 and 64 in the Metro East is closed due to structural damage, and it's going to stay that way for quite a while. The Illinois Department of Transportation closed the exit ramp this summer after a driver reported what appeared to be a bad joint on the overpass bridge. IDOT took a closer look, and it was definitely a safety hazard. The closure has had a major impact on drivers traveling eastbound across the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge.
It's an extremely large joint due to this just massive size of that structure, and it actually had failed in a rather significant manner. Upon further inspection, we decided to close the ramp.
So when can we expect this ramp to be reopened?
Ideally, we would like to say spring of 25. I know the people want an answer, and that's the best answer I can provide at the time, but it's a big project that we're fast tracking. And like anything else, when you go fast, you have to expect there's going to be a hiccup or two along the way.
Before the closure, more than 13,000 drivers use the ramp each day. To get around this, IDOT suggests going a bit further to I-255 or try one of the other downtown bridges like the MLK. And remember, the westbound lanes of I-70 and the bridge heading towards Missouri remain open. Stay safe out there. Paul Cook, 5 on your side.
She's defying age and defying gravity. Meet the 96-year-old woman who soared to new heights to live out a lifelong dream.
It's fall clearance here at Jack Schmidt Chevrolet at Wood River. Shop Jack Schmidt's huge selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. Hurry! At these prices, they'll sell fast. If you haven't purchased a vehicle from Jack Schmidt Chevrolet at Wood River, then you don't know Jack Schmidt.
Amendment 2 legalizes sports betting and generates over $100 million for Missouri's schools. Those negative ads, they're coming from Caesars, a greedy Nevada casino. Those guys aren't opposed to sports betting. They're putting their profits ahead of our kids. Amendment 2 means millions for Missouri's schools. That's why the Republican and Democratic candidates for governor support it. Endorsed by the Chiefs, Cardinals, Royals, Blues, and the St. Louis Post-Dispatch, Amendment 2 is the right thing to do.
Memory and thinking issues keep piling up? It may seem like normal aging, but could be due to a buildup of amyloid plaques in the brain. The sooner you talk to your doctor, the more options you may have. Learn more at amyloid.com.
How many times have you tried to clean a stubborn mess but end up with no success? What you need is the all-new waterproof Ruby Horsepower, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrubber that cleans faster and easier, guaranteed. Watch, baked on oven grease is no match. It blasts away dirt and grime in no time. The power comes from our rotating brushes, spinning at 350 RPM. The incredible torque fights calcium, mildew, mold, and more. Take it in the kitchen, where it busts through caked-on crud, or outside and tackle tough tasks with ease. Get your Ruby Horsepower with 4 additional attachments, all for just $39.99. Great news! They're in stock and ready to ship. Due to high demand, only 2 per order. Order now.
Call 1-800-445-9906. That's 1-800-445-9906. Or visit horsepowerscrubber.com. So call 1-800-445-9906 now.
Whether because of discomfort, lack of mobility, your lifestyle, or occupation, you sit inactively way too many hours a day. Introducing Ellipse, the premium quality automatic seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation without physical strain or impact.
It is so quiet that none of my coworkers even know I'm using it.
Strengthen and tone your legs. Increase your mobility, flexibility, and balance. Plus, stimulate healthy circulation.
My joints feel better, my knees feel better, my back feels better. It makes me feel stronger, too.
Perfect for home therapy. Whisper quiet to use while you work.
My circulation is moving, I'm burning calories, and it makes me feel energetic.
Call now and order Ellipse, the seated exerciser that strengthens legs, increases mobility, and boosts circulation. Call and get upgraded to the Deluxe Bundle. Get the faster motor or 5 miles of steps per hour, the step counter, the sport mat, and wireless remote. Call now.
Making a Difference is sponsored by Midwest Bank Center.
Imagine a world where dreams have no expiration date. That's the goal of a unique program at Cedarhurst Senior Living. They're granting wishes and making the impossible possible for its residents. In tonight's Making a Difference report, Mike Bush takes you on a journey that proves it's never too late to earn your wings.
Usually it's rock stars and royalty who arrive by limo. But on this day, 96-year-old Evelyn Kidd is the VIP.
Hello all. I'm looking forward to this.
And the limo ride is just the first step on a journey to show that in life, the sky's the limit.
I had no idea it'd be all this involved. So beautiful.
For Evelyn, a resident of Cedarhurst Senior Living of Tesson Heights, today's adventure is a dream over 70 years in the making. She's had a love affair with the sky ever since meeting her late husband, Gene, a Navy aircraft mechanic. After restoring a wrecked plane, Gene earned his pilot's license, and weekend flights became a family tradition.
I remember being very young, and they're like, let's go flying, and we'd go up. I'd go up with my dad and her, and he'd do a loop, and she'd be, oh, the kids. I'm like, and we'd be back there just laughing, going, do it again.
Well, after you.
Evelyn learned to fly too, though she never got her license. She did log her progress in her cherished logbook. The last entry before today?
August the 20th, 1950. I feel great. This is wonderful.
Now, thanks to Cedarhurst's Dream Come True program, which grants residents a chance to realize a lifelong wish.
Got it.
Snap this.
Evelyn is ready for takeoff once more.
Dream Come True falls in line with our mission to have homes where people feel valued, feel loved, and to be able to live life to the fullest.
Today's flight, courtesy of Elite Aviation, held a long-awaited treat for Evelyn. A bird's-eye view of the Gateway Arch a site off limits during her flying days.
No, we didn't dare fly over the city. You weren't allowed to fly over cities unless you were in a big airplane.
And as she soared over St. Louis, there was one more breathtaking highlight for Evelyn.
Definitely looks like they did a loop of some sort.
To fly along the Mississippi to see where the Missouri and the Mississippi come together, that was great.
Back on the ground, it was a dream fulfilled and a spirit rekindled.
So we'll write duration of flight here, 1.1.
And there would be a new entry in the logbook, June 2024.
Over by day, I'm gonna put the same thing, our hour and 6-minute flight time today.
I hope that next year somebody gets a wish and it happens for them like it did for me, because it was really nice. We didn't have this. We had a stick.
At 96, Evelyn Kidd is proof that it's never too late to chase your dreams
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
and reach for the sky.
I'm just glad that I got to do it. At my age, you know, what else can you do?
Cedarhurst has more than 50 communities, mostly in the Midwest. Every year, the DREAM program grants one resident per community a chance to realize a lifelong wish. Haunts on historic Main Street will take you to the spooky and spirited fun in St. Charles. Let's go Blues. The home opener is Tuesday. The Blues will face off against the Minnesota Wild at 6:30 at Enterprise Center. Tickets are still available. The party starts 4 hours earlier at Union Station for a pregame pep rally. Everyone is invited to the free event. It will include live music and appearances by the Blue Crew, Louie, and team captain Braden Shen. The party wraps up at 4:45. That's a sneak peek at the new opening video that will be played before every Blues game at Enterprise Center. It features a reimagined version of Meet Me in St. Louis, the title song from the MGM musical about the 1904 World's Fair starring Judy Garland. Pay close attention. It features Lindenwood University Student Orchestra playing in front of a vinyl record wall of albums of various St. Louis musicians, including SZA and Nelly. Spooky season is in full swing in historic St. Charles. The annual Legends and Lanterns Festival on Main Street kicked off this weekend. Photojournalist Stephen Turner takes us on a haunted Halloween journey.
Welcome, foolish mortals, to Legends and Lanterns.
Legends and Lanterns is a spirited journey through Halloween history. So essentially we're celebrating old world Halloween traditions. We have some of the most iconic villains from history, literature, and folklore who have come to Main Street, and we have a whole bunch of fun and free activities for people to kind of celebrate the season.
You'll never stop the terror, little shop of horror.
Obviously we have our legendary figures that are fun to interact with, but we have a whole bunch of different attractions as well. We have a Victorian morning museum. We have a salute to the golden age of monster movies of the 1930s through the 1950s. We have exhibits on gargoyles and carnivorous and poisonous plants. We have a whole plaza dedicated to the Mexican Dia de los Muertos, so you can learn about the Day of the Dead celebration. So it's all very educational, but you have fun at the same time. It's incredible to see how it's grown, the fan base that just loves it. You see people out here every single festival day, and it's fun because it's something for the community, and the fact that it is free makes it really just accessible to everyone. It's a full day of just Halloween fun. We have a lot of people who come and they say, you know, I never was much of a Halloween person, and I came to your event and it really let me see the holiday in a full light.
You can check out the Legends and Lanterns Festival again next Saturday from 11 to 6. The Frightful Fun continues every weekend from now until October 27th. How fun. We'll have a good weekend next weekend to do that. We got one last final check of the weather right here with Jim.
Yeah, we do need some rain, and boy, I love Halloween, don't you?
Oh, it's so good. So fun.
It's chilly, so we're finally getting this fall air in here. Cooler, drier, 62 tomorrow, 59 Tuesday. but it's those overnight lows. Once the wind dies down, there's still kind of breezy Tuesday. We'll see some morning frost early Wednesday and maybe a light freeze outside of the city. Still watching Thursday morning, and then we warm back up.
All right, thanks, Jim. That's all our time for 5 on your side. At 10, we're always streaming on 5 Plus. Sports Plus with Frank is next. And then start your day with Today in St. Louis.